Welcome to Talking Junk.
I'm your host, Jason Melendez.
Live now every week on Fridays.
Talking Junk.
A multitude of professionals in different aspects, different walks of life.
You have to come on and talk junk like a normal person.
Welcome to Talking Junk, the podcast that comes to you live every week from Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. How's everybody doing out there in Talking Junk land tonight? We have a great guest for you tonight. We have world-renowned speaker, Mr. Terry Rich. How you doing tonight, Terry?
I'm doing good. That's better than if you'd have called me a son of a rich, which would also be true.
Oh, you know what? That was a pretty good play on words. Maybe I should have took that. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. You're down in Florida. I'm in Iowa. What the heck am I doing in Iowa? People ask all the time, but we have fun up here. So we're going to tell you a few secrets tonight of some things to do that, and maybe a few secrets of how to win the lottery too.
Hey, we always love secrets, especially how to win the lottery. I know some of you guys out there want to know how to win the lottery. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself for those who may not know who Terry Rich is?
If you can believe it, I grew up on a farm here in Iowa. I went to school, and I have a BS in speech. That's maybe why I like to talk from the local university. But I came out and I started in cable television. Everybody else went to broadcast television. I graduated in TV and radio, and they were in broadcast. And I don't know why I got in cable, but all of a sudden they wouldn't pay me much, but they paid me in these things called stock options. And I came off the farm. It seemed like $1 million. I was making $500 a month, and got to work with people like a Ted Turner, helped start MTV, and some of the others as a cable operator. We were adding all these. So, it was just amazing how entrepreneurial it was. And I learned very early in life that all you really had to do to be successful is raise your hand. And nobody else wanted to clean the bathroom. I'd raise my hand. Hey, I'll try it, And lo and behold, to say, well, that kid's working hard. So I was in cable television until I was 40. And my old man said, you know what? Work hard to 62, get Social Security, you're going to be happy. And at 40 years old, they cashed us out. Somebody came in and took this company over. And here I am at 40 with all the goals I ever wanted. And I realized happiness doesn't happen when you reach that goal. Happiness happens on the way to success. And I'm still happy doing things like this. I just love meeting new people. And Jason, everything you're doing and the good things and what people do, new ideas. I just love new ideas and starting new things. So I went from cable television. They bought the company, started my own company for 10 years and did HBO free previews. So once in a while you'd turn on your cable and say, hey, Marge, look at that. They're playing free HBO. Somebody's messed with their cable. And that was us. We did it. And then we say, hey, if you like movies, call now and you'd get HBO. So at age 50, I hit midlife crisis.
Definitely.
Did you remember those free HBO previews, Jason?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's what made it fun. But I was traveling and away from the family and all that stuff. And at age 50, I decided, well, midlife crisis. And so I kind of asked around and said, hey, what could I do? And an ex-governor called me and said, hey, would you be interested in running a zoo? I thought, well, heck, I grew up on a farm. I grew cattle and pigs and stuff. Why couldn't I run a zoo? So I got to grow giraffes.
TV to running a zoo after that?
TV, HBO, national TV to running a local zoo that was going to go bankrupt. And we turned it around and got about $15 million in endowment. People donated money to help grow it back up, and it's going to be around forever. So when that went well, then I got a call from the current governor who said, hey, would you be interested in running the lottery? A guy's retiring that's running the lottery. And I thought, well, I'd give away over the 10 years, $10 billion, and it wasn't my money. Heck yeah. So that's what I did until I ultimately retired. And during that time, the lottery, you can kind of tell I like to have fun. I like promotion. I like marketing. But during that time, one of the employees of one of our vendors created the largest lottery fraud in U.S. history. And it just didn't feel right when we tried to pay this big jackpot. And so we busted him and put him in prison for 25 years. And that's probably my final claim to fame. So I'm out on the road now talking about how we cracked the largest lottery fraud in U.S. history with a ticket, 2 hot dogs, and Bigfoot. And I'll tell you those.
Bigfoot.
That's my history.
Well, before we dig a little deeper into the lottery ticket, 2 hot dogs, and
wait a minute, are we supposed to have a drink at this point? Then is that what you're saying?
Oh, hey, we can have whatever
right,
you like.
Good.
What you drinking?
LaCroix. I don't know why. It's in the refrigerator. It's not very good. But anyway,
Not,
go ahead,
not sure
Jason.
I
Your
got
question.
any of that. See, I'm not sure I got any of that, but I got the whiskey, I got the rum,
Oh,
I got
yeah.
the vodka, I got the gin, I got the cognac, I got
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
you
You got
like.
some good stuff there, Tangeray. Holy smokes.
Just a little
You
bit.
must be making a lot of money on this podcast, man.
Ah, I wish. We'll talk a little more after this.
Okay, I'll let you handle it. You're leading. Go ahead.
So, like I said, before we get into the lottery fraud, now you call yourself a disruptive innovator. Now, what do you mean by that?
I'm a marketer. I like fancy words. I think. No, I mean, I always, every time I wake up, it's like when I go to the grocery store, I kind of look at my watch and I think, yeah, I made it in 14 minutes that time. What if I can make it in 13:45? You know, I'm always looking at it, no matter what happens in life, there's always a better way to do something, whether you're making money, if you're trying to create the $1 million idea. And I got a couple $1 million ideas I'll give you and your group. Everybody wants to get in on them. I'll tell you those at the end. But I also, you can save money. I went to a place in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I did a speech out there, and I went in the bathroom and I looked down and there was a box on the back of the stool, and it was a box and it had a hole in the middle of this box. So imagine a box about this size, in the middle there was a hole. What the heck is that? And on it said waste reducing exfoliating cleanser. What the heck is that? And as I looked at it, I realized some accountant was creative, because what they did is when you go to a hotel, you get a bar of soap that big, and you're there for one night. You only use about that much on the edges, right? This accountant told everybody, we'll cut that middle piece out because we don't need it, and we'll put that on the sink. And now we only need one bar versus two, and we just save 50% on our soap costs. Now that's innovation. So I like to think of things like that just you would never think of, either saving money or making money, and trying to encourage others like you, what you're doing here, to find ways to do something no one else has ever done.
Well, I like to think we kind of think outside of the box here at Talking Junk Network. Like we had a live rock band play acoustic last week or 2 weeks ago. So we're trying little things here and there to try to I want to reimagine, if you will, the podcast industry. So I don't want to be just a regular podcast. I want to be a full-fledged show.
You're all over it, man. I mean, that's the thing, to try something new. An old professor once told me, and I'll take it to my grave, it's better to have tried and failed than to succeed at doing nothing. And if you think of government employees, succeed at doing nothing is kind of what our stereotype is of what government employees are. So you got to try it, and if you fail, another term is failure happens on the way to success. Do you have any kids, Jason?
I do. I have 3.
Okay. Now think about this. Your kids, everybody has the $1 million idea, but your kids at some point, my granddaughter came over and she went over to the couch and pulled herself up. And what did she do? She turned around and took a step, and what happened? Boom, she failed. But what did she do?
She got back up. She
crawled over, got up. She took 2 steps and 3 steps. Of course, she's running all over the house now. But how many times do we have the best idea in the world, and we try it once and it doesn't work, and we say, damn, that didn't work, and they quit? Failure is just the first step to success. And I live by that rule, because I think you got to fail, and you've got to, if you're not pushing the envelope and failing once in a while, you're not going to make the big bucks.
Right. That's why you just keep reinventing yourself and try to reimagine the game, the genre that you're in. That's why starting this podcast, everybody would say, well, you have to find a niche. You have to find that one thing that separates you from the rest. Well, fuck that. We are going to be totally different, and that's what's going to separate us.
You're on the right track, man. You're on the right track.
We're trying. So straight from TV into the lottery game, huh?
Well, getting into the lottery was an interesting deal, because in America, most people don't realize, if you take all the money, and music is about $10-12 billion, that's with a B, of revenue. Music, and movies are each around 10 to 12 billion bucks. Sports about 25-30 billion dollars a year. Add it all together, lotteries sell over $80 billion a year in tickets. $80 billion a year. And it's an amazing deal. I mean, I could say to you, hey, let's bet who's going to drink that bottle behind you first. And I could sell $100,000 tickets in the lottery. But lotteries are run by states, and I like that because if you're playing poker online right now with somebody in Malta,
Yeah.
you don't know who's running it. You don't know whether it's fair. You don't know whether they're cheating you. But by golly, you can go down to the lottery office and you can talk to someone, either the director of the lottery or your governor or your representative. And so I think lotteries are more fair and honest than what most gambling is. But people like to gamble. There's just no doubt about it. They like to drink. They like to gamble. It's one of well, sex is probably another one. Those are vices. Everybody says, well, yeah, I kind of enjoy it, but
I'd say
everybody
sex is pretty high on that list. I think that the lottery and everything else comes after.
Yeah, okay. I'm with you. I'm with you, Jay.
Well, some would say sex is a gamble.
Good point. Yeah, really good point.
Definitely.
Yeah. This old boy, you just taught me something there, man.
Well, those are things you learn growing up in the Bronx.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you.
So
speaking of that, and when I was at the zoo, it's the only place you could talk about gestation on TV when we were promoting it, and no one said anything. You can't say that about anything else.
Yeah, probably not. Is it safe to say the zoo was probably one of the most relaxing times in your careers?
You know what? I've enjoyed all 4 careers, and I've gotten to change to each career on my own terms. I quit each of my jobs to do the next one based on my own. The zoo is fun because every time you had a bad day, you just went over to the admission place and everybody came in with smiling. It's kind of like where you're at near Orlando, where Disney World, no one at the zoo steals at the gift shop. You never had anybody worried about because everybody's not there to be mad or anything else. They're there to have fun, and animals have a whole special feel to it. So it really was a lot of fun. Employees loved working because they had their hearts into all these animals and trying to help survive get species preservation. And for me, it was a business model and marketing model just to bring everybody in. And so, yeah, it was fun, but the lottery is fun to give away. The zoo is $3 million. The lottery was selling $350 million. Promoting HBO was on TV, so it was fame along with the fortune. So every one of them had their own pluses and minuses, and it's back to happiness happens on the way to success. If you're not having fun today, you got to change and do something different because you're not gonna you have a goal. Well, if I just get that project done, or if I can just make this, or if I can go get that car or whatever, then I'm happy. Nah, right. You got to be happy in life, or you got to find a way to be able to do it.
Right. You can spend a lifetime trying to make something perfect, but you won't know if it's perfect until you launch it.
Bingo.
Yeah, I understand. I was fighting with my demons to launch this podcast for about 3 years before I actually launched it. And I regret it because now everybody and their mother has a podcast.
Yep.
It's
harder. You got to be proud because you're far ahead. Most people, when they start a business, I learned this when I started my companies. Most people, if they start a new company, are out of business within the first year. 50% of all businesses go out in the first year. 50% of the remaining 50% are gone in the final year, and 90% of those, don't make it to 10 years. So, you've already made steps that most people never get to accomplish.
Yeah, man, we're trying. Once I found out the statistics for failing podcasts were the first 6 months, I needed to get past that. And we're there. We got 2 podcasts, and we're working on a few more. So,
sky's the limit. Hopefully. Congratulations, man! Isn't it fun? Isn't success fun? It's so much more than having something given to you. I've got friends. I grew up very poor, farm, and we had money, but I never realized we didn't have money because my family enjoyed life. And you,
right? And you lived on a farm, so you never wanted for nothing. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
it was a great life, and that's part of what you try to succeed each time. I think if you're given it, somebody who inherits a bunch of money or that sort of thing, it's tough to understand and get the feeling of how it is to be hungry and then have the success to do things like you're doing now.
Yeah, well, success comes in many forms, and not all the time can you measure success in dollar signs.
Absolutely. Hey, you got to be writing books, man.
I've been told. I may write a horror book soon. Maybe. If I
A
have
horror
time.
book. You said? Did
Yeah.
you say a horror book or horror book?
Horror.
Horror. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. We are after 9 o'clock, aren't we? Somewhere.
Yes, we are. We definitely are. So why don't we get into the big, juiciest, why you go around national and speak story?
All right.
How
Well,
did you end up breaking this lottery fraud?
okay. Let's see if I can give this in a short amount of time. It's a complicated, and what you realize in organizations, some of you have school districts, PTOs. You're a member of any kind of organization, and it's small, and so you have one person who controls the books, writes the checks, and writes the POs. If you're in an organization like that, you're ripe for fraud. That's what I've learned in all this. So I was CEO of the lottery, and I get a call one day and said, "Hey, someone just won this big regional jackpot. It's kind of like Powerball, only it was 17 states, not the entire United States. Lotto game, $16.5 million. Okay, someone's won, but no one came forward. 2 months later, no one came forward. 6 months later, people started saying, "Hey, that was mine. I think someone stole my ticket." We had all, but you got to realize lotteries are very secure. We have all the video from all these stores. When somebody buys a ticket, you're probably on camera, and today you probably also have audio that's being recorded. Well, someone bought this ticket. They used a play slip, which meant they knew what the numbers were. And 11 months in, we finally get a call from a guy in Canada who says, "Hey, I've got the ticket." Now, because we had the camera, we knew it was a male. We knew it was probably a 300 to 400 pound guy. So when females would call, we'd say, "Hey, sorry, thanks. We know it wasn't you." Someone said, "I checked the ticket." Lotteries, every time you touch a ticket to a machine to check your numbers, or you're in a store, you're on camera. We know you've checked the ticket or not. No one had checked the ticket, so we could discount everything. But this guy had the magic numbers. So our person at the front line said, "Well, okay." He said, "I'll tell you what, I'm just going to send you the ticket. You send me $16.5 million.
Well,
Hello?
it doesn't work that way.
Does that sound right? What do you mean? So she knew enough to say something. You see something, say something. She sent it up to the person who's in charge of publicity and also the security group. And they talked to the guy, and he said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, what were you wearing?" Because, of course, we had the video. He said, "I was wearing a plaid suit. I'm about 70 years old. I weigh about 150 pounds. Well, this guy weighed 350 to 400 pounds, wearing a black hoodie. We knew something was screwy. Ding, ding, ding. We decided there was a fraud committed in our state. That's a felony. So we were going to arrest." We said, "Hey, come on down. Just come on down." So then we could arrest him right away. Well, he called back and realized that we had said it didn't look like you on the camera. And he said, "Well, I told the little fib." So then we had him admitting that he had created the fraud. Let's arrest him. Well, he only had 1 month to claim the ticket. He didn't show up. He sent it back to somebody in New York, who sent it to 2 lawyers in Des Moines. We found later they were each going to get $500,000 if they could get the ticket cashed. And they showed up at our doorstep, these lawyers in Des Moines, who said, "Hey, we're ready for it." It was an hour and a half before the ticket was to expire. Ding, ding, ding. I mean, how dumb are we? So we pulled everybody together. We got in front of the camera, and we got the lawyers behind and said, "We have the ticket, but we're not going to pay it." And so we argued back and forth with this lawyer in New York, knowing that he didn't buy it. And our law states in our state that you have to say who bought the ticket.
Right.
And he wouldn't say who bought the ticket. So we went back and forth, and lo and behold, 3 weeks later, he calls and says, "We're giving it up. We don't want the publicity. You can keep the money." I don't care if you're Bill Gates.
Who
you don't
gives
just
$16
throw away
million?
Yeah, $16 million. So we knew something was up. So as I'm standing in front of the camera and all the press who are in, this was a really intriguing international press story. I get over my shoulder a piece of paper from the Department of Criminal Investigation, and the Attorney General says, "We're going to start an investigation. We think this is a fraud." So we kept the money. We gave it back out to different customers. Everybody got their own share of it based on their state. And the Department of Criminal Investigation started investigating. It took almost 2 years, and they went up to Canada. The original guy who called was from Canada, and the other one was from New York. They talked to both of them, and after 2 or 3 years, the question was asked: do you want to be the defendant, or do you want to be the witness? Guess what? They both wanted to be the witness. They didn't want to go to jail.
Of course. Nobody
So
wants
they
to go to
gave up
jail.
a guy and a lawyer and a guy in Houston, Texas. So we, the DCI then went down to Houston, Texas, try to find him. They disappeared. We're down to like 3 months left in our whole investigation. So a new prosecutor had been appointed by then after 2 or 3 years. He was in the office and he said, let's release the video. That's the only thing we hadn't done was release a video. So we released the video, and all of a sudden out of the woodwork had a whole bunch of lottery people said, wait a minute, that said he tipped it. He's a guy that works for the multi-state lottery, and he's the head security officer, and he's the one that designed the computer that draws the numbers for that game. Ding, ding, ding. So we knew it was an Iowa deal at this point. All the other states were saying, hey, you know, we're talking $80 billion here. Don't mess this up. There's a lot of good causes of education, and everything, like in Florida and Georgia and all these different places. So you mess this up, you're going to kill a lot of money, $80 billion. So we continued to investigate, and lo and behold, he was charged and he was found guilty of rigging it, although we didn't have the smoking gun. We didn't know how this guy did it. So at the trial, they decided to have some people come in, and he had his brother come in, Justice of the Peace in Texas, to testify and say that Eddie's a good guy, this guy that's supposed to do that. And you remember, I'm a promoter. And TV is my specialty. So I was on TV all the time saying we need to solve this deal because we want the game fair and honest. But his brother got on and said, hey, you know what? On the video, this guy my brother bought 2 hot dogs, and he ain't a hot dog guy. And everybody goes, looked right at him. He's weighing 350, 400 pounds. What do you mean he doesn't like hot dogs? So the Associated Press wrote an article, put it on the national wires, and lo and behold, it ended up in this brother's hometown, and an FBI agent said, wait a minute, I investigated that guy for money fraud.
Oh, my God.
So he called up to us.
The hits just keep rolling, huh?
Yeah, it just all these different people that if he hadn't bought hot dogs, would have never had it. Well, long story short, once we got Tommy's name, Eddie's name, and this other guy named Robert Rhodes, Eddie's best buddy, we contacted all the lotteries, got all the winners $800 and above. And if you ever do anything illegal, don't have Facebook, don't have LinkedIn, don't use your cell phone, because all we had to do with the subpoenas was to get that information. We got all their friends, and then we just compared the names of their friends to the lottery winners across the U.S., and we got 5 immediate jackpot hits within a few days. So lo and behold, it was kind of a national deal. He had programmed a lot of different things. We busted it all. He went to prison for up to 25 years. His brother went to prison for 52 days for cooperating, and so did the other guy. But the funniest part of the whole deal was we would have not busted this if there hadn't been Bigfoot involved. You know who Sasquatch is?
Oh, yes. I know who Sasquatch is. I can't wait to meet him.
You don't know him personally, though, do you?
No, I wish I did.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, this brother that was a justice of the peace was a Bigfoot hunter
down here. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the skunk ape down here.
Yeah. The brother was a Bigfoot hunter, and he was in a tree stand and fell out of the tree stand hunting Bigfoot, and that's why he was in the hospital. And he confessed that he had bought a ticket in Colorado, and that's how he got the money. And lo and behold, that's how we got the FBI involved, which came back to the. So if we hadn't had Bigfoot involved, so here we have a ticket, 2 hot dogs, and Bigfoot that solved the largest lottery fraud in U.S. history. So that's kind of the story I tell, more than anything, to tell people, if you're in an organization, you're in a company, you own a company, make sure you have checks and balances. 2 people signing off on everything. And as much as I hate paperwork, I now appreciate what auditors and the accounting department does to try to keep a company above board.
Wow. That, first of all, you did a tremendous job breaking that down within 10 minutes, because there's so much to take in from all of that.
There really is. It was complicated, and it was a whole team. I mean, it was just one person. I didn't solve much. I just kept paying the money. I just kept saying, we're going to do whatever it is. Because every time we got on and said, we're going to bust this person, whoever did it, we sold more lottery tickets. If we'd have said, hey, we don't know, we're letting it go, it's just money, what the hell? People would think, wait a minute, something's up, and you wouldn't want to buy lottery tickets anymore.
Right.
that was the thing, the integrity when it's all said and done. But I'll tell you what, I never want to go through it again. And that's why I'm on the road telling the story, because I don't want anybody else to go through what we went through.
Now I'm surprised nobody has come to you guys for the rights of the movie.
I'm under obligation on an NDA not to talk about what may be happening here in the next year or so.
All right.
Next question.
Can
I'm
I be in
thinking.
it?
Well, originally I was thinking Wilford Brimley, but he died. But maybe Brad Pitt for lead. I don't know.
Hey, that works.
We'll
That
see. We'll
works.
see what happens. I don't know. Will
Or
Smith is what I'd really like. I'd feel a lot better.
Will Smith?
Yeah.
That sounds about right. But I know there's this new guy, right? He lives in Florida right now. He hosts 2 podcasts, and he would be a tremendous
A
hand.
tremendous, actor. Absolutely. I had another project that there's another documentary that's kind of being pitched now that's kind of fun. You and I talked about $1 million ideas. See if you like this one. When I was doing the free HBO previews, people do work for hire. We went out to a company and we'd get on the air and sell HBO, and then we'd come home and get a nice check, and then we were done. But I didn't have anything. I didn't have an asset, something I could hold and resell. So I thought, I'd need to do a TV show. And what's the number one TV show in the late 90s? World Wrestling Federation, WWF, WWE.
Oh, yes.
So I thought, what other sport would be
that.
fun? What other sport would be fun that pro players don't make any money? And in those days, I thought soccer. So I rented an ice rink and produced 4 shows, full contact indoor soccer, hired some professional stuntmen. So halfway through, everybody's throwing punches, and the coach over here is messing around with the lead player's wife. And we did these 4 shows with all these themes in between, threw 2 soccer balls in. It was all indoor, full contact against the boards. We had the guys dressed in real tight shorts and tops, and the ball girls were all dressed. It was just WWE to a soccer finest. And lo and behold, they played it and got more hate mail than anything they'd ever done.
You need to think of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson when you're thinking about these things, because now he owns the rights, I believe, to XFL.
Yeah, the XFL, he bought it in bankruptcy for $15 million. Now we're getting to where you think I'm going. So 6 months ago, the Athletic, the what? XFL, right?
No, what you want though is the XSL, the
Extreme Soccer League. Yeah. So 6 months ago, the Athletic saw our tape somewhere and did a 72-page online feature on Soccer Slam, SOCKER. And lo and behold, someone called and said, we want to do a full documentary on the making of Soccer Slam. So that's been shot, and hopefully you'll see it somewhere someday in the next year, and that'll be kind of fun. But the crazy part is that's where the whole play is, that somebody may want to revive extreme soccer now that all this extreme sports is going on, and we'll see where it goes. I don't know. And I think, Jason, you'd be the perfect spot for the goalie in one of those shows.
I would rather be an announcer.
It'd be fun.
I'll stay myself on the sidelines. I don't need to.
Let's hear this. I'm going to audition you right now. Try it here. Void or prohibited, member FDIC.
Void or prohibited, member FDIC.
You're all over it. You're all over it.
Well, in a world where everyone wants to be on a podcast, you have to make things
interesting.
Pop. Oh, yeah, you definitely have to.
Pop.
Now, you would think, being the guy who wrote the software for that particular game, that he wouldn't be caught dead on camera buying one of those lottery tickets.
Let me tell you what I learned in all this. Is he started off and he went after, $5,000, $100,000 here and there. And it would only happen, the way he did the program, it only happened one time a year. It had to be on one of 3 dates, had to be on a Wednesday or Saturday, had to be after 8 p.m. If all of that happened, he could narrow the odds from 9 million to 200. So he could write down 200 combinations, give them to his buddy. They would buy all the combinations to win. So it was very intricate. But people get greedy. Ultimately went, when he saw he could go after the $16.5 million jackpot, huge jackpot, he went in and bought it himself so he wouldn't have to split with anybody. And that's where he messed up.
Yeah, he got greedy. I mean, 16.5 million, there's enough to feed everybody. So Get somebody to buy that ticket for you, genius.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, for the people out there who might want to have Terry Rich speak at a forum or maybe on their podcast, where can we see you? Where can we reach?
Kind of complicated. The name of the website is terryspeaks.com, and there's a contact button on that, terryspeaks.com. And I do two different
Who's that
speeches.
good-looking guy right there?
Yeah, that's the guy. I do two speeches, one on new ideas, innovation, and the other one on the $80 billion gamble. So I love traveling. I just before COVID, I was in Germany, traveling a little bit doing this, and it's so fun to see the different people and just learn different lifestyles and things that are going on. Again, I'm in the middle of the country, growing up on a farm, and I learned something new every day. Here's one I learned. There's a company called got to think what it is. I can't even think of it. Anyway, they make
It's
t-shirts.
all right. It's a Friday night. We
the
understand.
good thing, the good life. Anyway, they make fun t-shirts, and they're all young entrepreneurs, and they were calling everybody in, and all the 21-year-olds are saying, I have to go to this meeting, or like you might tonight say, Keith, I got to go. I have to do this podcast. And they called everybody and said, we're changing the attitude right now. Instead of I have to, you're going to change have to get. And so I've taken that on as I do speeches that I get to do. I get to do the podcast. Now I can say, my gosh, what am I doing? This old guy should be in bed snoring by now. He should be having a drink and passed out. I get to do this because I get to meet and learn and reach out maybe to help someone else because I've been fortunate enough to have some good ideas. So I try to learn something new every day as I do that. And remember, I've got $2 million ideas as we wrap up here. You just tell me when, and I'll give them to you in a minute and 38 seconds.
Okay. Well, why don't we stretch it out a little bit? You can give me you can give me those $1 million tips. Yeah, I'm ready. And then I have one for you right after.
Okay. How about I do one, then you do one, then I do one?
I don't know if I have that many.
My last one's kind of crappy. No, all you have to have is one. I'll do one, you do one, then I'll do the crappy one at the end. All right.
All right. Sounds good.
Let's get started. Okay. We just had the moon and the moon had the blackout or where it had the eclipse.
Right.
One night I was looking, see the thumbnail, and we were working on Mega Millions. They were asking, what are some ideas on promoting Mega Millions? And I thought, my God, why can't we get a laser or a spotlight? We could own the moon as a billboard. If we could get a bright enough deal, we could put the jackpot up on the moon and we could own it. Think what we could sell that for. That's $1 million idea. So I called my university. I just called up and got the physics department and two people hung up on me. They thought I was some kooky guy. So I got a hold of their competitor, University of Iowa, and they said, it can't get through the atmosphere. So I've got to figure out how to get this spotlight or laser up on a satellite to project onto the moon, but we can own the moon. There's my number one.
Definitely can.
All right, your turn, Jason.
All right, well, here's my number one, and it also has a pitch for tomorrow night's show. So tomorrow night on the Break Room, we are going to be playing some games. So we're going to do a Break Room family game night, which is going to try to start to tie into where I start charging for extra content monthly. And you guys can join in at home. You can play the games with us. You can come behind the scenes on the stream because right after this, me and Terry are going to talk about you guys right after we get off live. So you can be in on that conversation for just a low fee every month.
I like that. Okay, I'll end it with a crappy idea. So think about going down the interstate. A little town called me. They were at exit 88. And they said, we're a quarter of a mile off the interstate and 60,000 cars go down the interstate. How do we get cars to pull in and come see us? Well, I said, gasoline. Every exit has a gasoline station. Every exit has restaurants. So, probably not restaurants. What's the other thing you really need when you're driving down the highway?
A bathroom.
Bathrooms. And not just any bathrooms, clean bathrooms. Let's build a great big building with like 80 stools and urinals, make them the cleanest bathrooms in the world. We'll get Kohler to do market research, and we'll make one a country bathroom and one a fancy bathroom and one this, and we'll have a bidet over here. We'll do outhouses on the outside. We'll have a place for dogs and cats to go outside. We'll sell T-shirts. I got pooped out in Menlo. I got PO'd in Menlo. We can do sell Tootsie Rolls, Baby Ruths. We'll get a king to come in. We don't have to spend $1 on marketing because we have a king come in and sit on the throne. Every late show in America will be out to find the cleanest bathrooms. But what really made it work is that they were at exit 88. So can you imagine the old days? They had Burma Shave signs, these signs that were around that rhymed, and you could put Burma Shave signs that said urinate at exit 88. You'd make a million.
Now, when you said crappy, I had no idea you were gonna go down this route. But
yeah, I have a theme of
$1 million.
I have a theme about crappiness, Jason, because when I was at the zoo, at the beginning we didn't have any money, so we couldn't spend any money. So we did an exhibit called Scoop on Poop, where we showed poop from all the different animals in the zoo, and then we sold tiger poop for $20 a bucket. It was free because that's what they did every day, and we used it to sell to people. We have white-tailed deer up here, and it repelled the deer, and everybody said it was the greatest repellent we could. But we sold $20,000 that summer in tiger poop, but the USDA came in and said you can't sell exotic poop to the public. So,
Joe Exotic would be envious right now. He would be envious.
I guess so.
Well,
this is fun, man.
This was great. We want to thank you for coming out, and we definitely have to have you on another show. We have a show on Saturday nights called The Break Room, where we kind of dive into things. So, well, that right there will be my bread and butter when it blows up, because that's the show that we've had hypnotists on there. We've had love expert come on and play adult games. We've had a person from an adult toy store come by and show us some things. That's where we had the band on, and we also dive into different stories. Like we research serial killers or strange phenomenon. So we would love to try to take a deep dive into this fraud case and have you narrate it with us.
That's perfect. Well, keep in touch, man. You got the ambition, you got the drive, and you'll have success. I'm proud of you.
Thank you very much. Well, don't go nowhere. Let's end this show on a good note and thank you for being here for the scoop on this poop this week. And we will be definitely coming back next Friday, to have a very wonderful guest for you again. And like I said, tune in tomorrow night. We will be having the Break Room Family Game Night. We'll be playing Cards Against Humanity online. And if by some chance the website goes down again, we will be talking about the real Paid in Full. So be sure to tune in tomorrow night at 10:30 right here on the Talking Junk Network. And again, Terry, you have been a very, very, very wonderful guest. Thank you.
Enjoyed it. Thank you, man.
Good night, people.